Hi. Hi, welcome to Books Don't Review Themselves. I'm Kim.
I'm Jessica.
And today we are going to be discussing Reputation by Sara Shepard. I'll read the introduction so y'all know what this book is about. Aldrich University is rocked to its core when a hacker dumps 40,000 pupils' emails, the entire faculty, staff, students, alums, into an easily searchable database. Rumors and affairs immediately leak, but things turn explosive when Kit Manning's handsome husband, Dr. Greg Strasser, is found murdered. Kit's sister, Willa, returns for the funeral, setting foot in a hometown she fled 15 years ago after a night she wishes she could forget. As an investigative reporter, Willa knows something isn't right about the night Greg was killed, and she's determined to find the truth. What she doesn't expect is that everyone has something to hide. And with a killer on the loose, Willa and Kit must figure out who killed Greg before someone else is murdered. Told from multiple points of view, Reputation is full of twists, turns, and shocking reveals. It's a story of intrigue, sabotage, and the secrets we keep, and how far we go to keep them hidden. #1 bestseller Sara Shepard is at the top of her game in this brand new adult novel.
So, I guess I wanted to start the first, page. Now I have it in a ebook that we got from NetGalley. So, I don't know if this is considered like the prologue or whatever. But I wanted to read it because I feel that it's very enticing. So, it's titled, Look What You Made Me Do. Maybe you got it at birth. Maybe you gained it through hard work. Perhaps you have yours because you're charitable or ambitious or an asshole. It's your reputation. Everyone's got one. And if you think reputations don't matter, you're wrong. Good reputations lift velvet ropes. They get you approved for loans. They're your ticket to prestigious universities. Good reputations land jobs, find you a spouse, earn you the right friends. But have a bad reputation? Well, here come the whispers. Here come the slammed doors. Just try and shake off your bad name. 10 years later, a girl will still be known as the sophomore who had the affair with the track coach. 20 years later, the only thing neighbors know about the man down the street is that he beat his wife, or that woman in the grocery store is a frigid spinster, or the lady on the library steps had something awful happen and she went crazy. So it makes sense to preserve a good name, sure, but how far would you go to preserve your reputation, especially when you fear you're about to be exposed? Would you work on a good cover story? Would you lie? Would you kill? You're shaking your head. I'd never do that. I'm a good person. But until you're in the thick of it, you have no idea what you're capable of. If something needs to stay hidden, you might just do whatever it takes.
I'm a realist. I could see myself, killing someone. That's fine.
Yeah, well, I don't know necessarily killing somebody. I mean, it would depend on
the situation.
Yeah, like
who
if
I'm trying to,
like if they hurt someone,
yes.
Or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like that was really enticing to me, and when I proceeded with the book, I was like, ooh,
where's this going?
Because it's a very valid thing. Mm-hmm. Like you don't.
Everyone has secrets.
You don't think about it as much until I read this book, and then the other thing too with this book, I mean, I guess we should probably start with what we would rate it.
Okay.
So
I gave it a 4.
That's what I would give it. Mm-hmm. And I think the only reason that I gave it a 4 is maybe if it was just a little. I mean, this is considered an adult book, but it still seemed a little YA.
Mm-hmm. And Sara Shepard, this is her 3rd adult book, and you might know her as soon as we say her name from Pretty Little Liars. She also has 4 other YA series: The Elizas, The Heiresses, The Lion Game, and The Perfectionists. And then her 2 adult novels are The Visibles and Everything We Ever Wanted. But just reading the synopsis of the 2 adult novels, they still feel like they have a YA
kind
leaning.
Spin. Yeah. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like I did enjoy the book.
For me, the reason why I gave it a 4 instead of a 5 was just because I saw so many of the twists coming. So it was very enjoyable to read, but I wasn't shocked at all. Mm-hmm. And like when the book finished, like Scott always says, the way he rates a 5-star book, he's thinking about it after the book is finished. I really, the book was done. I enjoyed it, and the book was done.
You're ready for the next book. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree. I really liked how... At first, I was a little confused because each chapter is a different person, and that can be good or bad. Yep, and there's 5 people. Mm-hmm. But I also kind of liked that. Like, yes, at first it was a little confusing because each person, especially in the beginning, you're kind of you're being introduced to them, and they're so different. So it's like, okay, trying to kind of keep track of like, because I think I read the first person, you know, the first chapter or whatever, the person, and then I went on to the next person, and I had already like forgot the name of the last person, so I was like, wait, is this like, are they connected? So then I go back and look, and I was like, yep. But then once you kind of got the hang of that, I felt it really added to the book and made it flow very nicely.
And what I like too is there wasn't a lot of like backtracking. It's not like, you know, some books are enjoyable where you have like each character telling their own point of view from the same thing that just happened. But this one
didn't necessarily.
No, it continued the story. You didn't have any going back to what the other person was just talking about.
A similar scenario, yeah. And I guess the other thing too that really kind of crossed my mind when I first started reading the book, I think I started reading it like in the evening. Okay. And then I like went to work the next day and I read it a little bit on my lunch and then was working and I was just thinking about it. And I was thinking about like ironically around the same time, like the night before, I think when I was cooking dinner, I'll watch like YouTube videos or whatever as I'm cooking. And every once in a while there'll be like an episode of Dr. Phil or something that, you know, I wanted to see or just like a snippet of it. And I had watched a snippet of a family who had a home security system that got hacked. Oh. And so like the wife worked from home, took care of the kids, and she said that it wasn't uncommon when her husband was traveling, she could hear like the camera turn on. He'd be like, "Hey, how's your day going?"
So someone else was watching her?
Yeah. Oh my God. She said she heard like her kids got home from school. Daughter went into her room, put her backpack down, and she heard like the camera like make that like noise, you know, like the zooming.
Did they have cameras in the bedrooms? Please tell me no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When you
I would never put a camera unless it's a baby, but
they were young kids. Like most security systems will have them in every bedroom. Yep.
Oh my God. I mean, what happens when they're a teenager and they're getting naked and stuff? I mean, that to me, that's creepy.
Well, it's not for you to watch like continuously, but like,
but still, you're gonna see it and you'll be like, ah. As a child, as a teenager, I would have been like, F no. I would have been like, please get that camera out of my room.
Well, I mean, it wasn't too long ago that we had...
I mean, what if the kid wants to masturbate? Come on. I mean, seriously.
Well, I doubt the parents are, like, sitting there watching the camera.
But you do. You just check and you're like, oh, there's my son jerking it.
In today's age, the safety thing is obviously an issue. Oh. So she said she heard her daughter in the other room, and she was like, Daddy, is that you? Because... Again, when he's traveling or just not home, he would check in and say, how's your day going? Or how was your day? Whatever. And she said she heard a different man's voice. Oh. And then this man was like, I know your daddy's not home. I think the wife's name was Brooklyn. Oh and then she like freaked out and called her husband, who said, call the police. And the police said, take the kids, go outside. And they even had like that security doorbell. And they were like, Brooklyn, you called the police on us? And the police came and asked, who are you? Yeah. And then they said they heard every camera and everything laughing.
Oh, laughing.
People laughing.
Where did this happen? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I'll have to see if I can find the link to give to you. But it kind of got me thinking of like the book and listening to that was just like the thing she had said. And then it continued not only with the cameras, but she had like an online business, and the company that she had her email and website through basically had some sort of breach. Okay. And so they were able to get a lot of her info from her email.
I would think they would, even besides that, if there wasn't a breach, when you're putting your credit card number in, your passwords, I mean, if you got the camera on the room facing your computer, the people would be able to see that.
Well, and they were able to get her passwords, and my God. She was freaking out because she's like, there's emails between me and my kids' schools and like all kinds of stuff
if they're going on a field trip or something, these people could know. And
right. So that's kind of where they were just freaking out because they were like, we don't know where this is going to end. Yeah. And that's kind of what got me thinking about this book too, and watching that. We don't realize how much we rely on technology, because the other thing is I really wanted to get like Christmas lights for our living room, and we have 2 like bigger lamps, and so my husband we were looking at Walmart for like, let's change out those light bulbs. well, he found a, like, Google bulb or something, and he's like, well, let's give that a try. So we bought one and tried it, and he liked it. So we got a different, like, Wi-Fi one, and so he wants to get, like, a Google Home and slowly kind of, you know.
Like our house?
Yeah. He wants to slowly kind of do that.
I got a story for you in a moment when you finish this.
I'm not opposed to,
Uh-huh.
but at the same time, it's like after watching that, I mean, granted, we're not really thinking about having cameras, but we do have like one camera in our living room, and that has crossed my mind. Like, can someone hack into this? You know, whatever.
Oh my God.
And it's just got me thinking about like every email I've ever sent or whatever, because people think like, oh, if I delete it, it's gone. It's not gone. You know, in a situation like this college where everyone's so prestigious and the reputation and like.
And it wasn't just Aldridge College. I mean, it was like Yale
other prestigious
and
colleges.
too, yeah.
And it's like, you look at the news right now with, is it Lori Loughlin from Full
the
House and stuff?
thing.
It's like, that kind of shit happens, and we don't necessarily hear about it unless something pops up. But
and what even came of that? Did she get any time at all?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know. I know Felicity, whatever, got, I think, like
Hoffman,
14 days or something.
Oh, 14 days.
Something
oh my
like that.
gosh.
Nothing like, it wasn't like 4 months or anything.
And I'm sure it was a nice prison or jail. Well, prison it'd have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's something that really crosses my mind a lot. Is there was a different book I had read. I should see if I can find the title. I think it's called like Stormfront or something, where basically it was based in New York, and this couple lived in a smart condo.
Okay.
So everything in this condo was ran by like Wi-Fi and whatever, and essentially these storms and were happening.
Knocked
and
it out.
yeah, it ended up with like people eating people and whatever, because like literally the city, like you couldn't get food, you couldn't whatever.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But the thing is like that I see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily a storm like that or, you know, whatever, but it was like a crazy, I forgot what they called it, but like a cyber storm type thing where
Just
I don't know if I can't remember if like it was caused by another country, like hacking and whatever, but it's like so much of our life is ran.
We would be screwed. I mean, our house, almost every light is set up to her, and I can't say her name because she'll start whatever. Yeah, and so the other day, Sparrows set it up to our garage door because we have a garage door opener in here, but we need to come downstairs to do it. And sometimes when we're upstairs, we want the door to close because he forgets to close the door a lot. You know, we'd have to come downstairs and close it. You know, oh God, that's so hard going down 15 stairs. You know, how can we possibly do that? So anyway, he was trying to set up the robot to do this, and it would do his voice fine. That bitch does not like me. She is going to kill me one day. Like, I talk to her all the time, and I'm nice. I always say please. I don't always say thank you, but I always say please. And she'll, like, ignore me or, like, do other things. Like, one time, I don't remember what I asked her for, and she started playing some song. I'm like, what is this? This is nothing. But anyway, back to the garage door. So he was trying to get it to work. So he got pissed, and he whispered and called her a bitch or something. I don't know what it was. And she's like, I hear you whispering. Do you want me to turn on whisper mode so we can whisper together? I'm like, what? I didn't even know that was a thing. What the hell? I'm like, so when I am dead at the bottom of my stairs, it won't be my husband. Don't even think it was him. It will be...
Because you were trying to get to the garage door opener?
No, my thought is, because we have two of those vacuum robot things. We call ours Bobot. I don't know what the real name is. I think she will hack into that and start one up. So when I'm going to walk down the stairs, it'll come in front of me and I'll trip and die.
Well, this, again, you've never seen that Disney movie Smart House. And basically, it's like this smart house kind of becomes like...
Evil.
In a sense, she becomes very motherly to the children. And it's like, no, these are my kids now. And like locks the house down and like all this stuff. And it's not like a horror or anything, but...
Because it's Disney. So.
But it's like... Seeing how that was from back in the day, we were just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have like a smart house?
Dear God.
And it's like, it's here, you know, maybe not to that capacity, but.
Yeah. I will say it's nice when we're like walking down the stairs and we tell her to turn on the kitchen. So, you know, it's on. So that's nice, but is it nice enough to die for? I don't know.
See, and that's the other thing is like, Josh said that he would kind of like it. Because right now, we can only turn on the lights through our app. Oh, okay. Which is fine.
You don't just do voice activation.
Right. So we need like a Google Home or something. The one thing that
And you need switches to put on the things, too. Because Spiros, like, had to put switches on the lights.
Not if you have the light bulb.
Oh, the light bulb. Okay.
Yep.
Because we didn't have the light bulb. He, like, cut the cord, added something to the cord, and then made it work that way.
And I think now they even have, like, outlets. Or something like plug-ins or something that you can use to plug something in.
And it's automatic.
Yeah.
And, like, the light bulbs, don't they do, like, music with them, too?
Yeah. The light bulbs we have, we can dim. We can change colors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the ones we have we can do music, but we can do quite a bit. We can make it more yellow, more white.
Ours we have on the front porch. We can change colors, so we like change them with the season, and stuff.
See, and so I don't mind that. And the other thing that I would kind of like as far as a Google Home, but again, it makes me kind of leery because he was looking at like the $20 like box ones that don't have cameras. But then the ones that have, like, the little monitor is on sale. And I kind of would like that for, like, in the kitchen. Because if I'm cleaning or cooking or whatever, I usually prop up my phone or something with, like, YouTube or...
Oh, so you could just watch it on the monitor.
Yeah, so because it's just, like, this little, like, box monitor thing. So it's probably a little bit bigger than this. But it would sit there and it works just like...
Okay.
Your lady, because like I prop my phone up everywhere that I can, and then it fell and my stylus popped out and snapped. But then that makes me leery because I'm like, I guess I don't know if there's a camera in there, and I'm just
Probably
like, after watching that Dr. Phil thing, I'm like, who can hack into that? Like Russia, I don't know. Like
even I wouldn't be. I mean, Russia, fine, whatever. I'm scared about the person down the street who knows like where my house is.
Well, the thing that I guess I forgot to mention about this lady is she said that this person was speaking French and English.
Oh, awesome. Well, I think United States, like, it's going to sound like I hate my country, and I really don't, but, like, compared to other countries, they know, like, 3, 4, 5 languages, and here we're like, we only speak English, it's like, come on.
Yeah, and it's almost required in other countries. Like, my boss...
I wish it was required here, because... That does make sense.
My boss is from Poland, so she speaks Polish, and then I just found out that I think she speaks Russian.
That makes sense.
And then English, and then I think she speaks another one, not as well, but I think she's fluent in Russian and Polish and English.
And then you have people who's like, I'm just like, come on. And, they teach us, but it's not until, like, high school, and it's like, by then...
it's 4 years of...
For us, it was only 2. We only needed 2 years. And it was like, I mean, granted, that was 20-some years ago, but your brain works so much better as a child to learn new things than as a teenager.
Right. But, yeah, so the book, I think that was the other thing that I really liked about it, is that it was very realistic. It wasn't just some, like, crazy...
weird thing that might happen.
Yeah,
that's what I wrote in my written review too. I said the whole email thing. I'm like, that I really enjoyed that. I didn't think of it as much as you did, but I just said, it added an extra layer to the story.
In this situation, working at a university, it's so funny because I can just picture like the secretary emailing another secretary like, God, this guy's such a dick, or something like that.
In this day and age, that's what you do. You don't walk up and go to the water cooler to bitch about your coworkers or boss.
Yeah, I am the other people.
Exactly. It's just, you don't even think about it. You're like, you just do it.
Did you see what she was wearing? Or like, she looks like she's gained 10 pounds, And I can just see that happening. And so when I read, I don't know, when I first read about this email leak and whatever, I'm like, oh my God. Like I reacted like it was actually happening to a university because it's just like, can you imagine the mass chaos that would cause?
And the men who are angry at the women and they're saying, they just get hired because they're women, or for people of color, that type of stuff. That happens. And,
right.
Oh my God.
Right. Or and the affair stuff. And then professor and student and it would be kind of fascinating, I guess.
I would love it
to see how
as long as it wasn't my emails.
Right.
I don't.
But it'd be fascinating to see how spot on
this book is compared to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if some people would possibly die because of it.
Right.
Yeah. So besides the whole email hack, there's tons of other storylines going on and secrets being revealed and blackmail, and it was like a episode of Pretty Little Liars, I mean, it just...
And speaking of Pretty Little Liars, did you watch it all the way through the end?
I did not. You told me how it ended.
I did?
You did.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't even remember.
A long time ago you did. No, I stopped. How many seasons did it have? Like 5, 6, 8? I don't remember.
Well, I'm not sure, but I started watching it in high school. I watched the season finale probably a couple years ago, so I mean that's a long time.
7 seasons it says.
I think I stopped. Did it start? 2010. Yep, I was a senior in high school.
Okay, I think I stopped maybe after season 5. I just
there were like a couple seasons that were kind of in the middle that were like not as great.
And I mean, I wouldn't go back and watch it, or I wouldn't like watch the last 2 seasons to see what happened since you told me what happened, but it was enjoyable though. I mean,
I was like addicted to it.
Besides the drama, you know, and the suspense, I liked the fashion too. I liked seeing what they were wearing.
I was so pumped because one of the episodes, Spencer, the bag she had, because I always felt like, who would I be? And sometimes I felt like I would so be Spencer. Like, I just love her fashion and like the way she like is, like, I feel like, and I had a purse that she had.
You're like, I am her.
I was so pumped. And all it was like a Converse purse that I had gotten at Target. I was like, oh my God. And then I remember like me and my friend going shopping, and even in like maybe, I think it was Aeropostale, they had like Aria, Emily, like kind of wardrobe type things. But I think that was probably kind of my entry into suspense type stuff.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to think of like what I watched a lot of in high school.
What?
Teen Mom, Jersey Shore.
Even back then you watched those shows. Oh my God.
Jersey Shore.
No, I've never seen either.
A lot of Family Guy. I still love Family Guy. And Jersey Shore still is funny to me.
Oh my God. I would possibly be able to watch it for the comedy effect, but I think maybe like 15 minutes and I'd be like, dear God, no more.
Real World. A lot of MTV VH1 shows. Oh my God, do you remember like Pimp My Ride and like...
Nope.
What? Or like Room Raiders?
Never even heard. I've heard of Pimp My Ride, but I've never even heard of Room Raiders.
Oh,
no
God.
idea.
Like that kind of stuff. And I remember my brother and I sometimes would watch. We used to stay up really late. I remember us watching like Wife Swap.
I watched a few episodes of that. Like this one episode I watched, it was...
They were always just like...
It was horrible. It was horrible. God, I don't remember what it was, but I watched one and I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. I'm like, it's horrible. So bad.
Yeah, so we would watch a lot of that kind of stuff. And then I started to really like late night type, like Chelsea Handler when she had Chelsea Lately and Kathy Griffin, that kind of stuff. I feel like this was kind of the first thing I started watching that was considered like thrilling and whatever.
Suspenseful.
Yeah. I remember being like addicted to it. It was like whatever, like... To the point that when I was in college, I had a plant biology class at like Tuesday nights at 7 or something. And I was just like, I think I went for like 2 weeks before I dropped it because I'm like, I just can't. And starting Pretty Little Liars, I can't focus. I want to poke my eyes out. Like, I can't. So Sara Shepard, I literally dropped out of a college class so I could watch Pretty Little Liars. I didn't read the books, though.
No, I did not.
I did not read any of the books. And I kind of wonder, because I think my roommate at the time had read some of the books, and she liked the books as well. Okay. But I don't think she had kept up with all of them. But I thought this is a lighter suspense, but I liked it. I really liked the flow of it. I liked the different storylines. It's almost like a Stepford Wives type. Yeah. A little bit like the higher class and... Their dirty
the dirt
little
comes
secrets and stuff. Yeah. Like, that's just... I enjoyed it almost. It was almost like watching like a reality TV show or like... You know,
and that's why people watch those.
Like E! News or something where you're just like, oh, he's cheating with her and this and that and whatever. Willa, I didn't like
That was
much.
the sister. That was Kit's sister. She was the one who had that thing happen to her 15 years ago and left town. She seems stuffy.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see that.
What did you think of Kit?
I thought she was an idiot.
Right.
I'm just like, really? You know, and there wasn't any character. Maybe Rihanna. Maybe.
She's fucking creepy.
She's insane.
It's like just something's not right with this girl.
Something happened to her as a child. But there's no character that, like, I liked. You know, which is weird.
Or that you like.
felt sympathy for even, really.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe the youngest daughter, who Aurora, maybe I felt something for her,
Mhm.
but none of the other characters. I mean, some of them were horrible, and some of them
We're less horrible.
but still horrible. You know, and for us to both say this book, you know, we're giving it 4 stars and not really having any characters that we like in it, I think that says something too, you know?
Right.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is that she did a really good job of executing. I think she executed what she intended very well. And I've said this in other podcast episodes, is that sometimes books go way over the top because they really want to leave you thinking about something or whatever. Certain authors don't do that so well. You know, some of the things like maybe Stephen King writes that's just like really fucked up stuff, but it's Stephen King and the way he does it, it works.
Yeah.
Had she tried to do that with this book, it probably wouldn't have worked. But she just did a really good job of executing kind of
everyday what could really happen.
Like drama, like legit, like...
And I mean, she's had a lot of practice, you know,
right.
with 5 other YA series. And I'm sure, I mean, I did not read any of the other series or anything, but they're probably similar. You know.
And I would definitely want to read some of her other books too. And I know I wanted to read the Pretty Little Liars series, and I kind of wonder, I would almost like to read one of the books just to see. But at the same time, I don't know that after watching the entire series that I could.
Yeah. Or even if you get into it as much, you know.
Right, because like,
it might even kind of be a little boring.
Because it's like, oh, I know what's going to happen. Exactly. But again, there could be some maybe different things that happen. I guess I don't know what else I have to say.
Yeah. Should we get into spoilers? Is there anything you want to spoil?
I don't know.
Now I kind of feel like you said one of your coworkers or someone was sad because we didn't like get heavy into spoilers.
No, someone commented on our one of our episodes.
They wanted to hear this.
They wanted to hear the spoilers. Okay. So I guess we could do spoilers.
Yeah. And like we'll get heavy into them. We'll be telling you like what happened. So if you want to read this book, and you should, you know, just stop now. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. But if you want the dirt on the dirts.
And to be fair, I do think even if you know what happens, it's still enjoyable. It's still an interesting book. Just I think the human nature in us, where it's like almost like a gossip magazine where you're just like, who's getting divorced this week type thing. So
okay, so now for the spoilers. Kit is frenemies with Lynn. They work together.
Said Laura,
yeah. Lynn and Kit work together. I was a little confused at first with that part, like at the very beginning.
Yes, that's where I had to kind of go back to see like
didn't she work with her? How can she be a nurse? But I think just because they're both L names, and I mean they're not even close L names. Laura and Lynn, they're completely different. But so Lynn works with Kit, and Kit is a golden child of the company, and the company basically talks to rich people and tries to get them to donate
to the college.
Yeah.
And Kit's father is the president of this college.
Yeah, of Aldrich College. So the book kind of starts out with Kit on a business trip trying to get some rich people to give her money. And she meets a dude at the bar, and they don't have sex, do they?
No, they heavily, they get
heavy
hot
petting.
And heavy in the elevator, and they were going to, but she stopped it.
Okay. And that made me a little sad. I'm like,
I know.
Get your freak on. But whatever.
Right. And then it's like, I kind of felt that like, ooh, it's going to get it juicy. But then at the same time, it's like later on in the book, you're like, God damn it, Kit, you should have.
You should have.
Yeah.
Because your husband's a douche.
Right.
So anyway, so she gets back, and, you know, Lynn is just being a twat to her and blah, 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 whatever.
And
so,
Lynn seems like a twat.
She does. She was like my least favorite character. Like,
but
at the end, what she does with Rihanna... But the reason why she did it wasn't... We'll get to that. So
the thing with Lynn, though, is, like, I feel... And I'm almost ashamed to say this, but sometimes, like, in the first... How do I want to say this? The first time you're introduced to her, when she's talking about, like, looking at other people's Facebook and whatever, and, like, comparing yourself, I feel like we all do that.
Yeah.
You know, so I could see some of that where it's like, oh, fuck, like, is that me or whatever? And,
I didn't, yeah.
You know, like a little bit, because I just think that's...
Maybe that's why I didn't like her, because she's so much like me.
Like, you know, just a little bit human nature where you compare yourselves with others.
Yeah.
So that kind of first, and that's the other thing I think Sara Shepard did really well, was that like first entry into some of these people. You were like,
is that me?
Or
do I do that?
Or even you're like, well, I might have had that thought once or twice,
or a dozen times.
Right, right, like
comparing
yourself to somebody or something that someone has that you want, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was also really interesting to what I think a lot of the population thinks now with social media, like Instagram and YouTube and whatever.
All you do is show the good stuff on there.
Right. But to have it like actually like in a page where it's like, ooh, like this is common type. So anyway.
So they get back, and she gets back from her business trip, and that's when all the emails leak. And, people are reading them, and shit hits the fan, and we find out that her husband, Greg, was having an affair with a person called Lolita. They're saying that some of the stuff he wrote was really raunchy and nasty.
Like fucking bending her over the MRI machine or something. And it's like, isn't that a lot of radiation?
Even if it's not turned on, maybe there's other places you should be having sex and not in that room.
Yeah.
That's actually what I thought.
And that's the weirdest thing too. It's like there's nothing kinky about an MRI.
No. And that's really uncomfortable.
Yes.
I mean, I guess you can raise it. You can raise the bed, so he could raise it to whatever level fits perfectly for him. But no.
It was just kind of, it was funny.
To me, it wasn't raunchy. I'm just like, that's just uncomfortable.
Well, and to me, it's not that it was raunchy, but it kind of was, because I'm picturing this like prestigious doctor like saying these things. You know what I mean? Like a Harvard graduate, like with his collared and
they're nasty. They're freaks.
And they're freaks, but it's like just the impression they give, and then when you find like that dirt, it's like, oh boy, like.
And just the fact that she called herself Lolita. I mean, the book, she's a very young girl, and so that just made me little whatever. So people's secrets are coming out, and Lynn did she really have any secrets? The one we didn't like? Things kept happening to her that were bad.
Not that I can
recall. No, she really didn't.
Nothing major.
Yeah. So we find out that the person that Kit almost had sex with in the elevator is actually Lynn's husband. So there's that whole dynamic.
That was super exciting for me. I don't know why.
What's gonna happen?
But it guys, I'm telling you, this was like watching a soap opera in a sense, where it was just like, oh God, it's going to be. And like you said, to an extent, it was predictable.
Yes.
But at the same time,
I kept reading it.
You're kind of like reading the pages feverishly, because you're like,
what's going to happen?
Because like when that happened at the party, I'm like, I bet you that's Patrick. That's got to be Patrick. That's got to be Patrick. It is Patrick! like that just...
Yeah. So, like I said, even though neither one of us really liked Lynn, she didn't really have any secrets, and all this bad stuff kept happening to her, which was really unfortunate. So you have Kit, now that she finds out her husband was having an affair with Lolita, you have Kit kind of like being drawn towards Patrick, but stepping away, but getting drawn back, blah, blah, blah. Then let's throw in Laura. She works at the hospital, and she's really twitchy, and something's up with her. And then later on, you find out that her and Dr. Greg Strasser were like really good friends. This is like way farther in the book. I'm skipping like far ahead.
Yeah.
But they would meet for drinks, and talk about coworkers, and bitch about whatever, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and to go back to the doctor, he sounded like a dick. He sounded
Greg?
Yeah. He sounded like one of those doctors.
Pretentious asshole.
Exactly. Who thought, nurses were a waste of space, even though nurses often are the ones who do everything.
Of your job, yeah.
So he for some reason, he really liked Laura, who was a nurse, compared to like all the other nurses. So they would hang out, after a hard surgery or whatever. One night it goes too far, they have sex. Okay, so that was why Laura was twitchy.
It's always sex, isn't it?
It is. It's always sex. It's that human emotion. Are you going to get caught? So I felt like Laura's storyline, it was a solid storyline, but part of me also felt like it was like just kind of added. Like I felt like if it wasn't in the book, I think it would
still
be good.
Yeah.
So it was just like one more story.
Do you think it was added to add to Greg's story.
I think so. And maybe like the tension, because later on with her husband and stuff, you're like,
and I remember what I was going to say. Probably the other thing to mention is that Kit was married previously to someone named Martin, who I don't remember what he was sick with, cancer or something.
Something, yeah.
And she met Greg because Greg was like their last hope doctor that she went with Martin, and Martin has since passed away and whatever.
And when they met, it was in Martin's hospital room, and like she saw him walk in the door, and it was instant lust.
Right.
With him.
Right.
So there's that.
And then she did mention they got married pretty quick and everything.
Afterwards.
And
I'm trying to think else. Okay, Rihanna, she is Kit's daughter's friend, Sienna's friend.
Fucking weird.
She is a total scam artist. She came from a nasty town, like, how far away? Like a half hour or something? An hour away? It was close by. And, you know, she did not have a good family life. They're super poor, blah, blah, blah. And she wanted to get out and go to college or just make a better life for herself. She does that by blackmailing rich dudes. So that was if you have, you know, a Sara Shepard book, there's got to be blackmail in there some ways. So you have her, and like I said before, like out of all the characters, like I kind of felt bad for her in ways. I mean,
for Rihanna?
Yeah, for Rihanna, I think. Yeah, because she did have a crappy life, and she was trying to better herself, even though it was not in a way you should try. But
Right.
I think it was more so later on in the book when she meets up with that girl, I can't think of her name, but who also turns out to be a scam artist who was trying to scam Rihanna. And then, like, she just seems like a lost little girl to me. I don't know. I felt bad for her.
Well, and I guess, I mean, to put yourself in someone's situation who wants to better themselves but really has no means.
Yeah.
Because, like, even now, like...
Reputation. She
Right.
doesn't have a reputation to better herself. So, back to Rihanna. I texted you when I was, like, 40% in the book. And Kit is at the party when she meets Patrick, you know, and realizes that he's Lynn's husband. She had one drink, and it was repeated over and over again. She just had one drink, and then all of a sudden she's like stumbling like she's had like 10.
Right.
So I knew someone had drugged her.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
When she was... But then part of me was like, did she only have one drink?
Yeah, so you start questioning
Yeah.
that. You know, is this just the story an unreliable narrator? You know, what's
Right.
going on? When I texted you, I thought that Rihanna, because she was working the party as the bartender, I thought Rihanna had drugged her. I was thinking Rihanna, I mean, she's not a great person, but more evil than she was. And the reason I thought she had drugged the mom, their Kit, is because Kit comes home later on. She's not sure how she gets home. She finds her car like parked really weird outside and stuff, and she wakes up in the bathroom. Did she have blood on her? I don't remember.
I think she tasted blood or something. And then there was like a door that was open too.
Yeah. And so she wakes up a few hours later in the bathroom out of it, and she goes into the kitchen and she finds her husband. He was stabbed to death.
Yes.
He's all bloody. She didn't know at the time he was stabbed, whatever. But so I thought Rihanna had drugged her so the two daughters, so Kit's two daughters, Sienna and Aurora, could go home and kill the stepdad. That's what I thought. I was not right with some of it, and I was right with other parts of it. So that was, yeah. So that was at 40% of the book, you know, and that was me not, like, trying to figure it out. That was just me reading and enjoying the book. So in that essence, that's why I only gave it 4 stars, because I'm like, you know what's going on pretty easily. But it was still enjoyable that way. Did you want to talk more about Willa? You kind of talked about her a little bit at the beginning. She comes in for the funeral. She hasn't been back for 15 years.
She was sexually assaulted.
At one of the fraternity parties. And then that was like a big thing. And obviously it's relevant to the Me Too movement right now.
That was the other thing too, is that the book, certain things that were mentioned were very
relevant to today.
Yeah, they brought up like today's stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting too.
And with
added to it.
Willa, and you know, I mean, everyone deals with rape differently. I don't know. Her sister and her dad just like not even realizing anything was up. To me, that just, it's not that it wasn't believable, because it was, but I don't know. I was just like, really?
I mean, I guess this is kind of where I look at it, is it's like it's an upper class family, and they don't
think anything bad will happen to them.
Or
you know?
they just sweep things under the rug because it's our reputation. We can't let this know that this happened, or, you know.
And the other thing, too, is Willa and Kit's mom had just died recently, too.
Yes.
So they were grieving, and they were adjusting to new family dynamic and
Yeah,
stuff.
because it sounds like the mom was pretty much the rock.
So I guess I can see that. Later on, you find out who hacked the colleges, and to me, that was like the only surprise in the book, but I wasn't even like thinking about it.
There was so much other...
Exactly. And at no point was I like, oh, I wonder who hacked the emails. Like, to me, that was like, it was a great part of the story, but I didn't even care really who did it. So when that came out, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's interesting. So, I mean, I guess we gave you some spoilers, but we didn't give you everything.
Yeah.
But I think we gave more spoilers than we have in the past. All right.
Like, subscribe, comment below, give us any suggestions if there's anything you're looking for us to review, but come back for more.
Bye.
Bye.